Hi, I'm Emily Agnew from Luminous Listening with another video of insights, inspiration, and company for sensitive introverts. Now, today I'd like to talk to you about recognizing shame. This is particularly pertinent to those of us who are sensitive because we're built to be very conscientious, A, and B, to feel things deeply. And so shame kind of can go with that territory, especially if you have an inner critic. So let's talk about three kinds of shame or ways that shame can present, that it's really helpful for you to be able to catch. The first kind is pretty hard to miss. The blatant kind, that's when, something happens and you just instantly have a strong shame reaction. Like I'm thinking of a time when some years ago when I had just come out of a 7-day meditation retreat at Zen Center and was helping clean up the mess from our final meal, when I heard the voice of the Zen teacher booming across the kitchen saying, "Who cleaned this dessert dish?" Well, I had cleaned the dessert dish, and I could tell from his voice that he was not happy about the job that I had done. And immediately my face turned hot and prickled. I felt that kind of sick feeling in your stomach that you feel when you think you've done something wrong. So that's an example that's easy to recognize. And if you've seen my earlier video called Being with Challenging Emotions, now you know what to do at that point. I'm sensing something in me. You can watch that if you want to know what to actually do. Today we're just talking about how to recognize it in the first place. So that's easy. The second kind of shame is more an incremental, gradual kind of shame that can creep up on you. I think of it like a glass of water. If you had a glass of clear water in front of you and you took black ink in an eyedropper and you dropped a drop of black ink, the tendrils would filter down to the water, they'd dissipate and disperse, and you wouldn't see any change in the water really after one drop. But if you put in 5 drops, 10 drops, 20 drops, before you know it, the water has a distinct gray tinge. And the physical equivalent of that gray tinge from many kind of small shaming thoughts, internally or externally, is that yucky, it's just a yucky, kind of deflated, low kind of feeling. So you may not notice the individual events causing it like you do with the blatant kind of shame. You just start feeling yucky. Same prescription, I'm sensing something kind of all over my body that feels yucky. You just start to notice, getting to that bigger you where you can start to notice. But you have to do a bit more detective work sometimes. It's not that it's always essential to find out what happened, but we may eventually. But what's most important is to be with it, with what's in you now about it. So that's the second kind. The third kind of shame is actually you really don't feel it at all because you just flat out avoid whatever activities cause it. It might be activities you avoid, or thinking about certain things, or being around certain people, bringing up certain topics. You just don't do them because you're afraid you'll feel ashamed or be shamed by someone else. So that's particularly insidious because it can really block your joy. Because you had a bad experience with something or someone once, you don't do it again. And you don't have the cues of, say, the blatant shame to realize that your life is being affected. So this you can spot by taking a bigger life view occasionally and just stepping back and saying, are there any things I'm not doing that I really like to do? People I'm not seeing, why? Is there some reason? And the example I think of is back when I used to have an oboe reed business, I made high-end reeds that oboe players they put them in their oboe to be able to play and sound great. And I would do that every day. It was a significant part of my income at the time. And I went through a period where I just I couldn't get myself to sit down and do it, even though it was urgent that I do it. I was, very motivated. And I finally figured out it's because I was shaming myself. If I would make a mistake, a voice in my head would say, "Ah, you idiot, how careless, you should focus better." or you should have this figured out by now. And if I had been my own employee, if I were my boss speaking to myself that way, I probably would have quit long ago. So once I got that figured out and was able to be with that critical voice, which that's a story for another day, I'll do another video about that, and figured out what it was needing and wanting, because that kind of voice is always trying to do something on your behalf, however meanly it's doing it, then I was able to make reads again. So those are 3 ways of noticing shame. And as far as being with them, you can go back and watch my other video, being with challenging emotions, to get a start on that. So I hope this is helpful. If it's helpful, let me know. If you have comments or questions, let me know. And please visit my website at www.luminoslistening. That's luminos like luminous without the final U. There's new articles and videos like this one going up every week. Thanks for listening and have a great day.